Moving on to hadith number 2. That was 10? Good. No, this one maybe, yeah. عن عمر رضي الله عنه أيضا. Why he said أيضا? Because the first hadith was عن عمر. So this hadith is also عن عمر. قال بينما نحن عند رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم ذات يوم. While we were sitting with the Messenger صلى الله عليه وسلم one of those days. إذ طلع علينا رجل. A man, he came out to us. شديد بياض الثياب. He had extremely white clothes. شديد سواد الشعر. He had extremely black hair. لا يرى عليه أثر السفر. We don't see any effects of travel on him. ولا يعرفه منا أحد. And at the same time, none of us know him. Very strange. Because either you traveled here and you're going to look like you traveled, or you spent the night somewhere and you're going to look, someone's going to know you. If you spent the night that you're looking clean and your hair is clean and your clothes are clean, somebody hosted you. That's why you look like that. But none of us know you, and your clothes are clean and your hair is clean. So you didn't travel and we don't know you. How's that possible? You just, what do you say? You spawned? You just came out of here out of nowhere? How'd you get here? It's a very weird. The Sahaba, they're narrating this. So, ولا يعرفها من أحد حتى جلس إلى النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. He came, he entered until he sat in front of the Messenger صلى الله عليه وسلم. فأسند ركبتيه إلى ركبتيه. He put his knees on his knees. ووضع كفيه على فخذيه. And he put his palms on his thighs. What does that mean? He put his palms on his thighs. He put his palms on his own thighs, or he put his palms on the thighs of the Messenger صلى الله عليه وسلم. قولين عند العلماء. The ulama, they say both statements. Wallahu alam. It may be more authentic, correct that he put his hands on the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam's hands. فأسند ركبتيه إلى ركبتيه وضع كفيه على فخذيه وقال يا محمد. Oh Muhammad. Who speaks to the Prophet sound like that? يا محمد أخبرني عن الإسلام. Teach me about Islam. And Islam has one of three meanings. Islam as in istislam, submitting to the will of Allah. That's why we say Jesus is a Muslim, Musa is a Muslim, all the prophets were Muslim, because they all submitted to Allah. Islam as in the ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and Islam, the answer that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam gave in this hadith. You should never leave one of these three definitions when talking about what Islam is. What did the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam say Islam was? The 5 pillars of Islam. So he said, Ya Muhammad, akhbirni al Islam. فقال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم الإسلام. Islam is أن تشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأن محمد رسول الله. That you testify that none has the right to be worshipped in truth. Make sure you translate that correctly. It does not mean there's no God except Allah. A lot of Muslims say there's no God except for Allah, and that's false. Allah in the Quran said that there's gods except Allah, but they're being worshipped in falsehood. أَرَأَيْتَ مَنِ اتَّخَذَ إِلَهَهُ هَوَى. Do you see the one who has taken his God as his desires? They've taken Isa ibn Maryam as an ilah. So now he's saying there's no God, no one's being worshipped. No, there are things being worshipped. It's just not in truth. They don't deserve to be worshipped. So La ilaha illallah means nothing deserves to be worshipped. Nothing's being worshipped in truth except for Allah. وَأَنَّ مُحَمَّدًا Rasulullah. And that Muhammad is the messenger of Allah. We need to have both of these to enter Jannah. You have to testify both of these with your tongue and believe it in your heart. وَتُقِيمَ الصَّلَاةِ. And that is, you establish the salah. وَتُؤْتِيَ الزَّكَاةِ. And that you pay the zakah. وتصوم رمضان, and that you fast the month of Ramadan. وتحج البيت إن استطعت إليه سبيلا. And that you perform Hajj if you have the ability. These 5 things, studying them in detail, is what you take in a fiqh class. What is salah? How do I pray? What is wudu? How do I make wudu? What kind of water can I use? What is ghusl? What nullifies my wudu and my ghusl? How do I pray? How do I hold my hands? What do I say in salah? From the beginning to the end of the salah. This is all studied where? In fiqh. What is zakah? How does a person pay zakah? On his wealth, on his property, on his belongings, on his camel and his sheep and his cows and his food, stock. How do you pay zakah on those things? How do you pay zakah on your 401k? All these questions we have, you study that where? In fiqh. Ramadan, fasting in Ramadan, what breaks the fast, what doesn't break the fast, what is fasting, and Hajj, the rulings pertaining to Hajj. You learn all of that in fiqh. And we already have a class going on. You guys could join the group chat, studying the Hanbali fiqh in a very short book that you can just go through all the pillars of Islam in a very easy way. So join that if you've never studied fiqh before. We can't go into the 5 pillars right now. Praying, obviously, is 5 times a day on their times. We can't talk anything more about it. Fasting is in the month of Ramadan. You guys are all doing it now. So I wish we could talk more about it, but we can't. We don't have time. Zakah is that you pay 2.5%, 1/40th of your yearly savings if they are past the nisab. And we can't give you any more than that. And Hajj is done in the first month of the year, Dhul Hijjah, and it's done once in your lifetime if you have the ability. Ability means wealth, health, and path. Those three things. And I wish we had more time, but we don't. So that is Islam. So then he said, صَدَقْتَ فَعَجِبْنَا لَهُ يَسْأَلُهُ وَيُصَدِّقُهُ. He said, you spoke the truth. Umar ibn Khattab narrating the hadith, he said, we were astonished by that. You ask the question and you affirm at the same time. It's very weird. يَسْأَلُهُ وَيُصَدِّقُهُ. Then he said, فَأَخْبِرْنِي عَنِ الْإِيمَانِ. Teach me then about Iman. Teach me about what? About Iman. Is there a difference between Islam and Iman or no? There's a difference or there's no difference? Does Islam include Iman and does Iman include Islam or no? Are they synonymous? Are they not? Are they separate?
They come together.
نعم إذا اجتمعا فرقا وإذا فرقا اجتمعا. If the two words come together, then their meanings are separate. And if they're separated, then their meanings include one another. If I say Islam by itself, it means Islam and Iman. And if I say Iman by itself, it means Islam and Iman. When I mention them together, then they have specific meanings. You say the Islam is the outward actions, Iman is the inward beliefs. The 5 pillars of Islam versus the 6 pillars of Iman. Like the miskin and the faqir, they're the same. But when they come together, the faqir is the one who has less than half of what he needs, and the miskin is the one who has more than half of what he needs, but not exactly what he needs. So there are terms in the Quran, you have to know that. Because some people deviated because of this. They say, look, Allah in this ayah said, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا. Those who believe. He didn't mention Islam. He didn't mention Salah. He didn't mention, all I have to do is have belief. Khalas. I believe in the 6 pillars of Iman. I don't need to pray. I'm going to enter Jannah. The verse says so. La. Iman there includes Islam because it was mentioned alone. The only time we separate their meanings is when they come separate. So what is Iman? He gave him 6 pillars. And tu'mina billah. And tu'mina billah. That you believe in Allah. There is belief about Allah that is required for you to enter Jannah. Do we know that? You don't just say, I believe in Allah, and khalas, you enter Jannah. There's things about Allah you have to believe. And the Messenger ﷺ taught us that. If you look through the Quran and the Hadith and the Sunnah, there's things you have to believe about Allah, that He has the right to be worshipped. It's not enough that you believe that He's the Rabb. You're not going to enter Jannah with that. So where does a person study that? In a Aqeedah class. You pick up Al-Ubudiyya, Al-Wasatiyya, you pick up Usul Al-Thalatha, you pick up one of these books and you study Aqeedah about Allah. Because you need it to enter Jannah. It's very important. And tu'mina billah wa malaikatihi wa kutubihi wa rusuli. And you believe in His angels. And you believe in His books. And you believe in His messengers. Tamam? How many pillars is that so far? And tu'mina billahi wa malaikatihi wa kutubihi wa rusulihi wal yawm al-akhir. And that you believe in the last day. And there's things about all of these pillars that you have to have minimum belief about. There's things you have to believe about them. It's not enough just to say I believe. Wa tu'mina bil qadari. And the narrator repeated what tu'mina here, and there's a story behind why. We don't have time to mention it now. وَأَن تُؤْمِنَ بِالْقَدَرِ خَيْرِهِ وَشَرِّهِ. And you believe in the decree of Allah, the good and the evil of it. We're going to talk about the qadr in Hadith 4, so we won't mention it now. Then he said, teach me about ihsan. What is the ihsan? What is perfection? What is excellence? What is the highest level a person could reach? أَن تَعْبُدَ اللَّهَ كَأَنَّكَ تَرَاهُ. To worship Allah as though you could see Allah. That's what we should be striving for in Ramadan now. Taraweeh prayers, Qiyamul Layl, your Salah. I want to pray to Allah as if I'm standing in front of Allah looking at Allah. How does a person do that? You ask me after class, inshallah, we'll give it to you. Actually, you're going to take it in Hadith number 12. In next week's class, you're going to learn how does a person get ihsan. How do you get it? It's in Hadith 12. If you can't wait, you could read the Hadith. Maybe you'll get it, maybe you'll need an explanation. And تعبد الله كأنك تراه فإن لم تكن تراه فإنه يراك. That's a second level of ihsan, but it's a lower level of ihsan, but it's still ihsan. You worship Allah as though you can see Him, and if you can't see Him, then know that He sees you. That's a second level. Worshiping Allah, knowing that Allah sees you. And then this man, he asked the Prophet ﷺ about as-sa'ah. فأخبرني عن الساعة. Teach me about the hour. قال ما المسؤول عنها بأعلم من السائل. The one being asked knows no more than the questioner. I don't know any more about the hour than you do. He said فأخبرني عن أماراتها. Teach me then about its signs. And these are the signs that are the medium signs. You have minor signs and you have major signs and you have medium signs. These are the medium signs that the Prophet ﷺ mentioned. So what did he say? He said, أن ترى الحفاة العراة العالة رعاء الشاء يتطاولون في البنيان. That you'll see the barefooted shepherd men, the one who takes care of sheep, desert men, Bedouins, competing in building tall buildings. Did that happen or no? That definitely happened. And then he gave him another sign. He said, يتطاول في الماء قال ثم I skipped the first one. نعم جزاك الله خير. فأخبرني عن أماراتها قال أن تلد الأمة ربتها. That a woman will give birth to who? To her master. أن تلد الأمة, not just a woman, but a slave woman will give birth to her master. What does it mean that a slave woman will give birth to her master? The ulama give two interpretations for this. Number one, this is an ishara ala kathrat al-futuhat. This is the Prophet ﷺ indicating that Islam is going to conquer a lot of lands. How so? Because when you conquer lands, you get concubines. You get a concubine and you have a child with this concubine. The child is born what? Free, even though the mother is a slave. And تَلِدَ الْأَمَةُ رَبَّتَهَا. That the slave woman gives birth to her master, because the child is going to be free. And did that happen? Did Islam spread after the time of the Prophet? Yes. Umar al-Khattab's time, Islam spread so much. So that came true. Also, this is one of the signs of the hour is uquq al-walidain, disrespecting one's parents. That a child will be in the position of giving authority to his parents. That is strange even amongst the kuffar of Quraysh. Even amongst Abu Lahab and Abu Jahl and all them, Fir'aun, that was strange. That's something that only we do today. Being disrespectful to your parents, commanding them and bossing them around. That's from the signs of the hour. So these are the two signs that the Prophet ﷺ gave. Umar al-Khattab radhiallahu anhu, he then said, ثُمَّ انطَلَقَ فَلَبِثْتُ مَلِيًّا. He left and I remained for a while. ثُمَّ قَالَ لِي يَا عُمَرْ أَتَدْرِي مَنِ السَّائِلِ. Do you know who the sa'il is? Do you know who the questioner is? قلت الله ورسوله أعلم. I said, Allah and His Messenger know best. قال فإنه جبريل أتاكم يعلمكم دينكم. It was Jibreel. He came to teach you your deen. Who was the questioner? Jibreel. Did the Prophet ﷺ know it was Jibreel? Or did he not know it was Jibreel the entire time? The ulama say that the Prophet ﷺ did not know it was Jibreel because of another narration of the hadith that Ibn Hajar says is Sahih, where the Prophet ﷺ said, ما جاءني في صورة لم أعرفها إلا هذا المرة. Jibreel never came to me in a form that I didn't recognize him except for this time. So even the Prophet didn't know it was Jibreel until later. Rawahu Muslim, is hadith Sahih Muslim. You know how Surah Al-Fatiha is called Ummul Quran? The ulama call this hadith Ummus Sunnah. This hadith has Islam and Iman and Ihsan and the signs of the hour. This hadith is a phenomenal hadith.